From the heart of Irving, Texas, this is Control the Beast podcast. Get ready to discover how faith and emotional intelligence collide to help you own your reactions and rewrite your story. Join your host, Pastor Ed Snyder, as he takes you beyond the surface, tackling anger, fear, and frustration with real, God-centered solutions. Each episode brings you practical strategies to master your emotions, strengthen your relationships, and live the abundant life you were created for. This is Control the Beast.
And welcome to another episode of Control the Beast. I am so excited that you have joined us. My name is Ed Snyder, and I'm your host today over the next 30 minutes that we can talk about the subject today of Lead the Beast, Don't Kill It. It's an interesting subject. I hope that most of you, some of you, had joined me on the webinar this past Tuesday night. It was a great time. It was our very first webinar. I was pretty jazzed. So we're going to be doing those probably once a quarter. Next up, we're talking about doing the subject of a webinar on toxic relationships and how to handle those relationships. So let's get started today. And I am, again, I'm very jazzed about what God is doing through the ministry of Control the Beast. And I thought that it would be a good time to talk to you about the goal of handling this beast, managing our emotions. I thought it was, when I was going through this, I thought it was a good idea to kill this thing, get rid of it. Well, the real reality of it all is, folks, you're never going to kill the beast. You've got to learn how to lead it. You need to learn how to tame it because, unfortunately, the emotion of anger is just like any other emotion that we have. It's like love and joy. It's like happiness. It's like sorrow. It's a part of our emotional makeup, our being. So, again, killing it, getting rid of it, not going to happen. So, we've got to learn that the anger, the reaction, the heat that rises before you think, every time it comes back, we got to go through a process. When I didn't make that process when I was young and dealing with all of this, I called it a failure. Maybe you do too. But let's land this quote. You don't have to kill the beast. You have to learn how to lead it. So most people are at war with their own emotions. In fact, the Bible even says there's a war between the spirit and the flesh and the spirit. And a lot of times the enemy works through our emotions, and we got to realize that. We've got to come to terms. But then also, on the other hand, it has nothing to do with the enemy, Satan, the devil. It has everything to do with us and our mindset, our thinking, how we're handling things. Life is only 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Okay? So suppress, the explode is worse. Suppression is not control. Suppression is a delay. All you're doing is just crank into that pressure cooker and it is getting ready to explode. That's a reality. Okay. So again, suppression is not controlled. It's a delay. And what you bury alive does not stay buried. It will surface. Nobody handed us a model for landing the beast. Well, you know what? Let me correct myself. Yeah, somebody did. God did, and it's called the Bible. That's where we started 45 years ago, is we just dug into the Bible and to see what that's all about. We were told to calm down, never shown how. Now, again, what I'm about to tell you, I've said many times, but in case we have some new listeners today, years ago when I came to my pastor and said, hey, I've got a real big problem I need help with. What's going on? I've got a ferocious anger problem. Son, just get in the altar and pray a little bit and you will be fine. Everything will be good. Well, I got in the altar and I prayed, and 3 days later, I'm mad again. I'm throwing something. I'm punching something. Okay. I needed something more I needed the works along with the faith. So let's look into some scriptures as anchors here of what we're talking about. Lead the beast, don't kill it. Genesis chapter 4 tells us a great story in verse number 7, where the Bible says, "Sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, but thou shalt rule over him." Okay, this is the story of Cain and Abel. God does not tell Cain to kill it. He says, rule over it. That's called leadership, not execution. The beast crouches at the door of every one of us. The question is, who holds the reins? Who's got control of the beast? Who's got that thing tamed? Okay. Now, here's another way that you got to look at this is emotions are information, not enemies. Okay. When we experience emotions, it really gives us a lot of information about ourselves, perhaps what we or where we need to work. Okay. Anger says a line was crossed. Fear says something matters. Grief says something was lost. Kill the messenger, lose the message. That's how that's going to work. We can't kill grief or we're going to lose the message of the value of the person that we lost. Fear, if we kill fear, then we lose the message of what really matters in our life. Perhaps fear creates boundaries for us that are safe boundaries. Do not walk to the edge of that cliff or you're going to become a grease spot at the bottom. Okay. And of course, anger shows us where our perimeters are. Okay. Here's three moves that I'm going to give to you that will show you how to lead the beast, how to manage the emotions. Number one, acknowledge it. Okay. Quit ignoring it. Quit making excuses for it. Every time you get mad, upset, scream, holler, we go into the blame game. Well, if they wouldn't have said this, if they wouldn't have done that, if they wouldn't have gone here, I wouldn't have reacted that way. That's not going to work, folks. I'm sorry. The blame game is a vicious cycle that will constantly spin on you and nothing gets resolved. Did you hear me? Nothing gets resolved inside the blame game. So, what we've got to do is acknowledge it. We've got to name what is rising before it runs the room, before it takes over everything. I'm angry right now. Okay. That's really the first act of leadership in your own life is acknowledging there is a storm on the horizon. So therefore, I'm angry. I just acknowledged it. You cannot get help. You cannot overcome something if you don't acknowledge it or admit it. An alcoholic will never get any kind of help for their alcoholism until they realize I'm an alcoholic. Somebody that's addicted to pornography is never going to get loose from that vicious demon until they acknowledge I have an addiction to pornography. Same thing in your negative emotions or in this subject of the beast, anger. Nobody's going to get any help until you finally say, I have a problem. Years ago, when I had a bad episode in front of my brand new wife and scared her out of her mind when I put my fist through a door, that was a wake up call. That was realizing I'm getting ready to lose the love of my life, the person that I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt God put in my life to be married to, and with for the rest of my life. That was a major wake up call. If I didn't acknowledge that I got a problem, if I would have come up with the blame game or excuses or whatever of why and all of that stuff and tell her I won't do it again, everything will be fine until it happens again, I would have lost. I would have probably lost everything at that moment. Okay. So I finally realized, okay, I got a problem. I don't know what to do about it, but I'll do something. We'll fix this. And so therefore we had to go to work on it. And of course, my acknowledging was when I went to my pastor and said, I got a problem. Okay. Number two, the second move is slow it down. Okay. put a gap between the feeling and the response. Okay. The loudest voice does not get to decide what happens next. Okay. I just dropped something there that you need to pick up. The loudest voice does not get to decide. So when negative emotions arise, the first thing you need to really do is step back, take in a deep breath, pause, slow it down, and then respond. Okay. My wife, when we were raising our two children, said it this way: smell the roses and blow out the candles. So again, that's a pause. Number three, point it somewhere. Governed energy actually becomes a drive. When you are angry has been well documented and identified as a negative emotion. It does not have to be a negative result. You can turn anger into a positive motivation and an outcome. I tell this story when I'm teaching live in workshops and classes and sessions. About years and years ago, a 13-year-old girl asked her mother, "Can I go a block over?" This is upscale suburban Los Angeles, LA. And "Can I go a block over to my friend's house and spend the evening?" Of course, mom said, "Sure, no problem." She knew the family, everything was fine. And hours later, LAPD shows up at her door to tell her her daughter got run over and killed by a drunk driver. Devastating. Never going to see or talk to her 13-year-old daughter again. And so, of course, what even amplified the problem was that man was caught, thrown in jail, given probation and 30 days in jail, and that's it, because it was a drunken driver offense and the laws were horrible back then. So this woman, this mother had a choice. Can become angry and bitter, or she can point her anger somewhere and turn it into a positive drive or emotion. So she went to work and formed a nonprofit called MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. That woman's name is Candy. She formed an organization that is well known today, that has made an impact beyond description on laws, drunk driving, and all of that. So, again, that's a great illustration of point it somewhere. Governed energy becomes a drive. All right. With that thought, we'll be right back. We're going to tell you a little something about Too Good Coffee.
Quick word from Too Good Coffee. If you are leading anything, a team, a church, a family, a business, your morning fuel matters. Too Good Coffee just dropped the Flavor Favorites bundle: Cinnabon, Hazelnut, Caramel. 3 premium naturally flavored coffees in one powerful starter bundle. Irresistible flavor, everyday enjoyment, made to inspire. Every cup you buy makes an eternal impact, because Too Good Coffee is rooted in faith and built for leaders on mission. Head to drinktoogood.com and grab the Flavor Favorites bundle today. Too Good Coffee. Great coffee, bigger purpose.
Okay, so welcome back, and I really hope you visit us at drinktoogood.com. It's a great tasting coffee. We had an affiliate with another company. It was great, it was wonderful, but we wanted to do a little something our own and up the quality. So it's great quality. Go get it. Come on, coffee freaks. Help me out. Drinktoogood at .com and get you a subscription and save some money. All right, so here we go. Name it. Let's go back to that. Name it. The next time the beast rises, say what it is out loud or under your breath. I am angry. I'm mad. I am feeling disrespected. I am feeling hurt. I feel insecure. I feel anxiety. Name it. Okay. And then, of course, number 2 is we're going to gap it. We're going to put a breath before the response. Just one: smell the roses, blow out the candle. So again, put a gap in there. What's happening? You're going to, what we talk about in our book, Control the Beast, you're going to intellectualize the situation. Instead of responding with a freak out, or a shouting match or throwing something or punching something or busting out in tears or whatever, you're going to put that gap in there and think it through. You're going to say, okay, what's my options here? This can be done in seconds. I can go ahead and throw a fit, scream, holler, throw something, and then totally destroy my reputation, the trust that I've built of the people that's in the room, and do a lot of damage that's going to take years or more to repair. Okay. So gap it. Of course, number three, aim it. What we talked about before the break, aim it. Choose a single response on purpose and point that energy somewhere useful. Don't let it go to waste. Don't write it off as totally negative and never do anything with it other than try to suppress it, put it in a pressure cooker, and then when that valve pops, it's going to get real ugly, real fast, and even cause you even more damage. So we cannot try to kill this thing. We've got to learn how to lead it. We've got to take our negative emotions and turn them around and make them where they're going to work for us. Okay. Again, aim it. Choose that single response. Point that energy somewhere. Make it a positive instead of a negative. I'm very angry about this. This keeps happening and it's not right. Well, do something about it. Change the environment, change the situations. Okay. The challenge to do this week is one real moment. Okay. When you have your moment this week, when you when something crops up, when that beast raises its head, notice what the room does when you hold the reins. Now you already know, probably more than likely, you already know what happens in the room when you freak out, go crazy, do all of that stuff. You already know that. Let's switch it up. Let's flip the coin. Let's turn the table, whatever phrase term you want to put on it. Let's change the room. And instead of freaking out, which some people, if they know us, they're going to expect, okay, here he goes. He's going to start screaming. He's going to start yelling. He's going to start throwing something. He's going to start calling everybody names or whatever. All of a sudden, you take a breath and then you respond appropriately. Okay, that wasn't real cool, but let's back up and let's go at this again. Let's try this again. Years ago, when I was working in an executive position, our secretaries were outside our offices and it was kind of an open thing in on that floor. In other words, we walked out of the door of our office and there's our secretary. And each office down the building is the way the building was designed. So when we went out and talked to our secretary, there were secretaries and desks all the way down. So when my secretary or the person, the admin that I worked with, if 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 they messed up and didn't make a deadline or missed a step or whatever and got me behind the eight ball, I didn't do anything, you messed up. Now I've got to answer for it, all this stuff. If I would have went out there and chewed that person out and taught them a lesson and all of that stuff, I would have damaged my own reputation and the ability to lead and my influence in other people's lives because that whole side of that building would hear what I'm saying to that person. That's not cool. That's the room. And the room, I'm in charge of the room. So therefore, I take a breath. I say, okay, that's cool. That's all right. Let's back up. How are we going to fix this? Let's put together a plan. See, I pointed it. Or if it's really upsetting, I said, hey, I'll be right back. And I went outside and took a walk. I just walked around the building. I got away from it. I read something. I got my mind off of it. What was I doing? I was distracting and getting my head together. I was thinking things through. Then I came back from that walk and said, okay, let's let's fix this. What else can we do? How can we fix this? We gotta meet the board here tomorrow, and this has got to get. We can't do this, to the board and blah blah blah. So anyway, fix it. Okay. Notice the room when we make a different decision. Okay. So let's bring this home. As we close out today and in our time together, you were never asked to have no fire. You were asked to be the one who holds it. In other words, if you're in leadership, if I'm talking to somebody out there that is in leadership, in ministry, you are aspiring to ministry, you are aspiring to leadership, to do something, you got to have some fire. People's not going to listen to a preacher that's got a monotone voice. And today we're going to talk about, no, man, you got to put some fire in it. You got to talk about it. You got to Nobody asked you not to have fire. That fire, that anger that was within me, that was that fire. I just had to learn how to contain it, kindle it, and point it. Okay. You were asked to hold on to it. We've got to learn how to channel, for lack of a better word, channel our energy and our anger. So that same fire that fires up the furnace of anger, let it fire up the furnace of passion and go the right direction. All right. Okay. Well, listen, I really hope that you have enjoyed us together today. The thought, we got some things that I'd like to let you know about. It's in the show notes. If you haven't, I'm really excited. I'm stuttering or I'm stumbling because I'm so excited about this. A few years ago, most of you know that we wrote Control the Beast, a guide to managing your emotions. And it sold real good. Everybody was talking about it. God bless. That's great. Okay. We needed a revision. Publisher says, we need to revise this and you need to write a sequel. And I'm like, well, I didn't plan on a sequel, but what do you got? So we revised Control the Beast, own your story, rewrite your story. And so we've just published it. Now, folks, it's not on Amazon because I can't build a relationship with you through Amazon because they own the database. So if you'll go to controlthebeast.com, click book, you can buy the revised version of Control the Beast. It's got a lot more content to it. It's got updated facts, stats, all of that stuff. I'm just really, really excited. We're getting ready within days to publish a Made Whole devotion, a 30-day devotion called Made Whole. That's 30 days every day of doing a devotion and journaling on your emotions and how to put them in check and guide them. Okay, so that is also going to be available at controlthebeast.com. And so go there. Substack. We have just launched our subscription side, and you're going to get all kinds of benefits. Look me up on Substack and check out what we're offering, and you can get in on a founder's price. That'd be great. And then one more thing, drink Too Good. All my coffee freaks out there, let's get some coffee and let's share. All of this, folks, helps us do more work out there in the kingdom of God to help people become better, to add value to lives. So again, if you don't mind, share this podcast with somebody. Let somebody know. Put it on your social media. We would deeply, deeply appreciate it. So until next week, God bless you and have a great day on purpose.
You've been listening to Control the Beast podcast with Pastor Ed Snyder, helping you own your reactions and rewrite your story. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. For resources, coaching, and more, visit controlthebeast.com. Until next time, keep your emotions under control, live with purpose, and remember, with God's help, you can control the beast.